What up, boys? What up, boys?
What's going on, Johnny?
Heidi-ho. Oh, shit. What the hell? What have we got? Mr. Hanky the Christmas boo over here or what?
That's right.
Heidi-ho, partner. Heidi-ho. I mean,
I
know your breath smells like shit, but you don't call yourself Mr. Hanky over here.
Your voice has changed, but your breath smells the same.
Yeah, don't
We got the sunglasses mic over here.
Yeah, when you're cool, the sun shines on you 24 hours a day.
Future's so bright.
Yeah.
Gotta wear shades.
Yeah, Mike's on another hiatus this week. He's at the University of Georgia.
Bulldog country.
Sitting here sending me pictures of him and the coach, the Georgia Bulldog coach. I'm like, damn, you have no shame, dude. You'll do whatever it takes, won't you?
Whatever it takes.
Yep.
In them sunglasses or baseball goggles, whatever they are.
I got Georgia on my mind.
Yeah. You guys are gonna have to forgive me tonight. I'm a little bit off, and I'm just a little frustrated right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a little frustrated.
Well, talk to us, Johnny.
If I gotta see another meme, real video or something about some dude wearing makeup, I'm gonna freaking choke myself.
Oh boy.
I don't know about you guys, but the last time I checked, clowns wear makeup, not men.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I mean, don't girls wear makeup? I don't know what the hell is going on in our culture today or where this thought process is. I mean, are guys that starved for attention that you gotta you just can't let the girls have it? You gotta put the makeup on. I mean, I don't get it. I'm lost.
Maybe they just find being a man too damn challenging.
Well, the thing that cracks me up though is that if that's the case, Ray, then why are they attracted to men?
Shit,
I mean,
you got me there.
I don't get it.
I don't either, dude.
Maybe you
the
guys
makeup is toxic.
I don't know, man. Maybe you guys can answer this question for me. Why do guys that wear makeup find themselves attracted to men that don't? I mean, something's not right here. I mean, if you're a dude and you think it's all about whatever, very rarely you see two dudes wear makeup together.
True.
Which tells you right there innately in our minds, we know that there's a feminine and a masculine role in a relationship.
Right. Yeah. A top and a bottom.
It's the way.
Sorry, dude.
It's the way the universe
it's the yin
wants
and the yang.
Yeah.
One's got the yin, the other one's got the wang.
Oh.
Then again, not these days, brother. I don't know. It just
Johnny with the makeup report.
I don't know, man. It just drives me crazy. And I remember years ago when this shit started happening. My daughter was watching somebody, and I just said to her, I said, "Doesn't that piss you off?"
Hang on. Watching somebody.
Some dude putting on makeup.
I'm assuming
like a YouTube or a TikTok or whatever you want to call this shit.
Okay, just checking.
And I'm just saying, I'm like,
Ray.
doesn't that just, as a woman, doesn't that piss you off?
Apparently it doesn't.
Because I'm like, she's like, what, Dad? What's the big deal? I'm like, this dude's getting rich, putting on makeup and doing shit women been doing since the beginning of time.
Right.
I mean, women have been wearing makeup forever.
Yep.
Why is this dude getting rich doing it?
Does it better?
Oh, whatever. Bullshit. Bull to the shit.
It's the way the universe.
Hey, I'm going to just put it out there right now. I don't care how good or bad you put makeup on. It still looks better on a girl than it does a guy.
No, without a doubt.
I mean,
your beard gets in the way.
No kidding. Get them whiskers.
The whiskers get in the
Get
way.
those.
In them bird
That 5 o'clock shadow starts breaking through that foundation.
Get
It
them
just
bird
changes
products,
things,
you know?
That's how you know it's a dude, because by the time he's done with his reel, his 5 o'clock shadow's showing through.
I don't know. I mean, this is coming from a guy that spent a lot of time in Thailand. I mean, how long were you over there, Ray?
6 months.
6 months too long, boy. You scarred for life, son.
You ain't.
Ray all day with the Thailand report. Here he is.
Oh shit, boy.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about Thailand.
Oh yeah. Was that like Vegas? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas?
Is that Taiwan on land?
Yeah,
That's
Taiwan
what that was.
That's the excuse you use. I tied one on in Thailand.
What had happened was...
Yeah, what happened was... I just, it's like to each their own, but it's like the shit just gets shoved down your throat, and it's like... we keep hearing this word like toxic masculinity. What about toxic femininity?
Yeah.
I mean, they're hijacking femininity. They're stealing it from women.
Well, toxic femininity doesn't sell ads in newspaper. Well, not newspapers, but you know what I mean.
It just amazes me. If you're a guy, right, and you get all ripped and you're working out and you got your testosterone pumping and got the beard going and everything, and oh, he thinks he's a toxic masculine man. He's this and that. But you're not looked at as like, okay, but it's okay to put on girls' clothes and put on makeup and all those things and go to the nines in that direction.
Right.
I mean, you can't have it both ways. I mean, if a guy looks toxic or he's too masculine this way, can't he be too feminine the other way? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know, man. It kind of turned my stomach to see John Cena in a miniskirt.
Oh, John Cena was wearing a miniskirt?
Oh, yeah. There's pictures of him getting out of a limo, and he was in a kilt-style miniskirt.
The hell is that all about?
Oh.
They say that Hollywood makes you do that.
I'll tell you what, man.
Hollywood don't make you do shit. You choose to do that.
I thought men wear shirts, not skirts.
Period. But when you really think about it.
And if you do, it's called a kilt.
Yeah, but nobody can make you do that.
No shit. I mean, it's just, but this is a world we're living. It's almost like cool. Like if you don't do it, you're not cool anymore,
True. That's true.
And the sad thing is, you see it more prevalent today in the schools with young people, and it's like over the top. I was sitting there today on the way to the podcast, and I'm sitting there watching kids get off the bus, and it's not just something just a little bit. It's like out there. It's like you're watching and going, man. I mean, how much attention are you really? If you're insecure and you have social anxiety and all this other bullshit they try to tell you, but then you dress the way you dress and look the way you look, and you don't think you're gonna get all kinds of attention.
Yeah. Well, that's what they want.
I mean,
it's got to go. It's got to fall back to the fatherless. You know what I mean? The dad not being there, not. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they're seeking attention. When you're in that situation, any attention's good attention, whether it's good or bad. As long as they're getting attention, they don't care.
Well, yeah, that's why you have kids with behavioral problems too, right?
Right. Yeah.
They're going to get whatever attention they can get their hands on.
So if it's not behavioral, then it manifests in wearing makeup, I guess. I mean, I don't know, but it's just.
And look, I mean, to each their own. I know people that'll listen to this and they'll get pissed off and think that we're bigots and everything. That's not the case. I mean, I just don't understand where we've gotten, because and even when we started looking at the statistics in the show before we came in here, you can tell that there's a false narrative out there trying to make this look more prevalent than what it is.
Trying to make it okay too.
Because when we're looking at how many percentage of men wear makeup, right? They 15% of men, heterosexual men, are wearing makeup and using cosmetic products. Whoa, hold on now.
Yeah, what is it?
Now, what's considered a cosmetic product?
Right.
I mean, is that lotion, face cream? I mean, I know there are dudes that use that stuff for the bags under their eyes or whatever.
Eyeshadow, blush.
But
acne medicine.
I mean, so that's considered cosmetic. So the question is, they're even trying to make it look like it's more prevalent than what it is.
Right.
Hey, 15% of dudes are doing this. No, they're not. That's bullshit.
Mainstream.
Because when you look at it from the grand scope of things, how many people do you honestly run into that are dudes wearing makeup on a daily basis?
I can't think of one.
I don't. I mean, it's just, you see it like some of these kids getting out of school.
And I'm not doing it. So, they say if you don't see it, you're the one doing it. No, I'm not wearing makeup.
Yeah, well.
And I don't see it. So I don't understand.
I don't know why it's okay to embrace femininity but not masculinity.
Right. Yeah.
It's okay for us to say it's okay for a boy to wear makeup, but it's toxic if a boy wants to be masculine.
Yeah. If he wants to
go
to the gym.
He wants to work out. He's all about, or if he wants to do martial arts or physical activities, he's toxic. He's just all caught up in testosterone. But if he wants to put a dress on and little Johnny wants to wear makeup, come on, little Johnny. We got to support little Johnny. He has a right to do that. Well, I got news for you. Young boys got a right to lift weights and work out and play sports and
not be labeled toxic.
Yeah, I mean, this world we're living in, guys, is complete and utter bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what it is, and it infuriates me.
Yeah.
It infuriates me that because it's just like freaking bizarro worlds. Like everything's backwards. Like. Yeah. What was it? Alfred Hitchcock? What was that show? Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. Yep.
Like, well, driving into the Twilight Zone, man.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell are we doing here? And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we talk about tolerance and acceptance. So we can be tolerant and accepting of a boy wearing makeup, but we're supposed to frown upon a boy being masculine. It's a complete and utter contradiction.
Yeah.
Completely. And when you start looking at this other stuff that it transcends into, like the whole thing with Target and their little section they had over there, It just amazes me that there's bathing suits that have tuckies, but there's none of them that have outies. You know?
Right.
They don't promote little girls wanting to be little boys.
Yeah.
But they sure in hell promote little boys wanting to be little girls. It's an attack on masculinity. It's an attack on men.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've talked about it before. Real men, you can't control. And that's their problem. They want to be able to control everything. So if you're a real man and you stand up for what's right, what's moral, and what's true, you're not going to be controlled. Honestly, I think that's why they want all of this feminine, guys wearing makeup, guys doing this stuff, because those guys are easier to control. They're not going to stand up. They're not going to question it. They're not going to push back.
Well, it's funny, and then you see some of these shows. I watch a lot of podcasts and stuff, and I've seen where these guys that wear makeup and then, they want to act feminine, and then when you push back on it, that's when their masculine comes out. Then they're ready to fight. It's like, well, hold on for a second here, man. You can't have it both ways.
Right.
You can't resort to violence because we don't like what you're doing or agree with what you're doing. Right. But that's okay. That's okay. But if on the opposite end of the spectrum, if somebody resorted to violence because they weren't okay with that, then it's, that's hate crime and everything else.
Right.
We just live in a society today where we've just, good has become, evil, and evil has become good.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
Evil has become desensitized.
Well, and you look at it, that's exactly what they're doing with our culture with these kids. And they did it to, hey, I'll give you a perfect example of being desensitized. When I was sitting there looking at those planes hit the World Trade Center, it took me a while for it to compute or to even register into my brain that there was people in that building.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had seen so many explosions in movies and shows and video games in my life where that almost didn't even look real. It almost looked like a cheesy B-rated movie, to be honest with you.
Right.
When you first saw it, it was like something that should be absolutely horrific was kind of like, oh, that doesn't even look like a real explosion. That's how that's what my mind, because I was desensitized.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they do. Like, what's
I thought you were looking at a promo for GTA or something.
No.
Right? Well, we were talking about good is bad and bad is good nowadays. Well, another thing that the masses are doing is they're redefining things. So they're redefining good things to be bad and use it in the way they want it used. And they're redefining bad things so that it doesn't sound so bad.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds okay.
Of course. It's all about agenda.
Right.
It's all about agendas, and they've done a very good job of using the word hate. And they use that as a tool to separate and to divide. And it's all a political scheme. It's like trying to put a mass of people into a group and then trying to create, one side versus the other.
Oh, yeah, because if there was no sides, the politicians would be useless. How could you have, elections and stuff? If the people weren't fighting, how can you have elections? How can you choose one person over the other? And the other thing that scares the crap out of them is because if the people weren't fighting, they would all come together on one ground and put them out of business. Well,
you look at everything going on with the globalists and in their mindset of overpopulation and everything, and we've talked about it here about thinning out the herd. What better way to do it than to get people to stop having babies?
Yeah.
I mean, in the movie, what was it, Braveheart, where the king said about the Scots, he says, if we can't get them out, we'll breed them out.
Yeah.
Remember? And so if we can't get them to stop, procreating, we're going to get them to do it with each other rather than in a situation where they can make babies anymore.
Right.
You know? And it people go, well, man, that's conspiracy theorists are crazy. But you start looking at everything the way that the movement's going. You start looking at everybody that's in power and the way that they think. It makes you wonder if they're trying to thin out the herd.
Yeah, no, we know they are.
Yeah, and so and what better way to do it than to put makeup on boys?
Yeah, feminize them.
Yeah,
because like I said, the men are the ones who push back, and if you feminize them, they're not going to push back so hard.
Well, the other part of it too is if you're looking for love and acceptance, I mean, why you're looking for it in a man, and it goes back to what you said, Ray, the lack of the father.
Yeah.
There's a lack of the masculine in a lot of these relationships you see one that's predominantly masculine and one that's feminine. And it's just because that's the way that things were made to be,
Yeah.
And you can't deny it. They can say whatever they want. They can make whatever excuses they want. But if you start watching and seeing, that's what goes on. And it's like, I don't understand it. It's like, if you're a dude that likes dudes, why don't you like a guy that looks and acts like a dude?
Right.
Because otherwise, you really do like a girl that has boy parts.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Or you like a boy that if you like a boy that has girl parts.
Right.
I mean, so you need to make your mind up. And you see it all day long, and it's like you can't deny it.
No, you can't. It's very contradictory.
But to be, listen, I think I'm a father. I have a daughter. There's been times that we've done dress up and you play around with makeup or whatever. I mean, that's what fathers do with their daughters, and play. And I'm sure when I was with my cousins when they were girls, when we were little, we do stuff like that. I mean, you just but there was a definite distinction that you're the girl and I'm the boy, and this is for fun. You're messing with my hair or doing whatever.
Right.
Trying to be a good cousin or a good brother or a good,
Getting some laughs.
Yeah. But this thing now where it's just like, we're just feeding this into little boys. Like, it's almost like you want to be more feminine than you do want to be masculine. Like, it's a bad thing to be a masculine male. And then we wonder why things are going in that direction. It's like indoctrination. It's what's going on with these, and it's really coming after the boys. It ain't coming after the girls. And who's really suffering? The girls.
Yeah,
the girls are suffering.
Ultimately, yes.
I've got an employee. She's in her 30s. I was talking to her today. She's like, I can't find a good man.
Yep,
can't find him. Can't find one that's responsible, that's willing to work, that's not immature. It's like, I told her, I said, well, the problem is you guys killed chivalry. You guys wanted all this equality and shit. And now you got these dudes like, screw you. You pay your way, I'll pay my way. Or, you're just as good as me.
Right. Go for it.
We're equals now.
Yeah.
Yep.
You wanted to be equals.
And she's like, no, I don't want that. I want a man to take care of me. I said, so you're a traditional woman, but most of the women today are modern women. And they don't think and act like that. You can't treat a man a certain way and think you're going to get the same thing a traditional woman's going to get. Don't work that way.
Truth.
Well, the problem is they don't even know what they want. They've got this. They got all the kids so screwed up that they have no idea what they want. They tell them you want this. You want modernization. You want this, and this. And then they, like you said, they get into their 30s and go, wait a minute, what the hell? I can't find nobody.
Well, how many things have we tried in the course of our lives that at one point in time we thought it was the greatest thing, and now we're like, that was kind of stupid. Or that wasn't that cool.
Jeez. How long you got?
Case in point, how many movies do you remember watching when you were a kid you thought was the greatest thing ever, and then you turn it on now and you go, this thing's trash. I don't even know why I like this movie, right?
Right.
That's because there's a maturity in life that happens. We mature, we change, we grow. That's why people say, well, he said this 20 years ago. So what? People can't change, people can't grow, people can't mature. And I mean, so you think that people think the same way 20 years down the road as they did when they were friggin' like in a middle school? I mean, come on.
Right.
But my point in all that, what I'm saying is that there are phases that we go through, and there are things that we try and we experience, and we go, not that cool. Don't want to do it. It sounded cool at the beginning. I used to listen to this music. You know what I mean? I used to dress this way. I used to be into this type of genre or whatever. And then you look back and you go, man, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, or you just progressed out of it.
Right.
My brother and I, we joke a lot because it's so similar. Like, I'll go and buy shoes, and then I'll show him the picture of my shoes, and he'll send me a picture back of his, and they're almost identical. And we growing up, my brother was a skate rat. He was a skater. And he's had big hair and wore the big shorts and was always skating. And I was always like, man, pull your pants up, Yeah. And, here we are, two adult males, and our fashion or the way we dress and even our taste a lot of times in music is very similar now, but it was light years away when we were young. And it's because, you change, life changes, you know?
Right.
We're more on a common ground because we're both fathers, we're both husbands, we both have careers, and so we think and look at things from kind of the same lens now.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to impress upon everybody listening that, like you touched on it, we're not, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. You know what I mean? We're not gonna bash you. We're not even gonna say shit to you. You know what I mean? It really doesn't matter to us, but it's the big picture that we're talking about. Just there's more to it than just a guy wearing makeup. There's more to that.
I think the normalcy of it, or the fact that we're trying to normalize that, and then we're trying to villainize masculinity.
There you go. Yeah.
That we live in a culture where it's more okay and accepted for a boy to wear makeup than it is for a boy to want to wrestle.
Right.
Or for a boy to play with guns, or, toy guns, or, I
Right.
grew up using sticks, acting like there were guns and swords and everything else, and we would fight and we would wrestle and do all the, and it's like today it's like, oh, it's so violent, I can't believe you do that. And then they'll set the same parent that'll say that will have their kid playing Call of Duty in their bedroom for 6 hours.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Or Mortal Kombat.
Every time.
Exactly. It's just too much contradiction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I am tolerant. I am the most tolerant person as long as you believe everything that I say.
Yeah, do what I say, and I'll be right there with you.
You know what I mean? I'll be completely tolerant. But as soon as you go against what I have to say, it's hellfire.
Well, the other part of it too, let's be real. I'm going to be 100% transparent here. I'm not okay with it. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit the people listening to this podcast. I am not okay with boys wearing makeup. Now, however, I do understand that it is a choice.
Yep.
And if he chooses to do that, that is his business, okay? But that don't mean I got to be okay with it.
Right. Exactly.
I don't have to support it. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to, go along with it. And I don't have to fall into the false narrative that, I've got to be tolerant and accepting of that.
And
no, that's bullshit.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%.
It's funny. It's like we want to go to these extremes. Like, I want my son to be masculine, but in the same token, if my son just walked up and smacked somebody, he'd have hell coming down on him from his father.
Well, that's
because we don't do that shit.
Yeah, that's
not acceptable, right? But I'm saying masculinity, physicality, all those things that are testosterone that boys have, because they wrestle and they play fight and everything else. Yeah, it's okay to do those things. But if my son was to strike somebody or to physically assault somebody, no, I'm not okay with that, right?
Yeah.
And so if you want to explore or you're trying to figure yourself out, that's your business. But then if you're going to start putting on makeup and showing up at Christmas dinner with it, we're going to have a problem with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a respect factor too. I mean, like my kids, for instance, they're 23 and 20 going on 21. And they will tell you, and you guys know, you've met both my kids. They'll tell you there are things that we don't say in front of our father. There's things we don't do. We don't. My daughter the other night, we were just joking around, and she said something. I think she said a borderline cuss word or something about she was pissed or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I noticed you getting a little loose in your mouth. You normally don't say stuff like that in front of me and Mom. And she said, well, I said, I don't think you don't cuss, because I know you do. She goes, when you're not around, she goes, but I don't do it in front of you and Mom.
Right.
It's a respect thing, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
There are certain things you just don't do and lines you don't cross. Mm-hmm. And when you don't have any standards, if you don't hold the standards, you have no standards.
Right.
And so if I say, okay, this is not acceptable for me, I'm not going to be okay with this, just don't do it around me. I don't have to accept that. I have to. That's the other part. I almost said have to. You don't have to love people either. Love is a choice.
Yes.
We choose to love people.
Big time. A lot of truth.
We choose to like people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, God wants us to love everyone. He tells us we should love everyone.
Right.
But it's still a choice.
Yep.
Every day.
That's what makes love so powerful.
Amen to that, Johnny.
I guess at the end of the day, when we're sitting here talking about this, and I know that I've got a little animated tonight, a little frustrated.
We love it.
It's just, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And we got to quit this bullshit of just blurring the lines because we just want to do it so we don't hurt people's feelings. There are some things that just are not acceptable. And just, being accepting of somebody doesn't mean you're accepting of what that person does. That's like, we were talking the other day and we were talking about the church, and we said, it's one thing to accept people where they're at, but we don't have to go along with what they're doing. You don't invite an alcoholic to your house and sit in the back room chugging beer. You don't have family members that are struggling with drug addiction and they start doing drugs because they're doing it, so we might as well all do it. If a man's beating his wife, you don't start beating yours. They're just things you just don't do. And I know that people struggle, and I know that they got questions. And if you're a young guy out there and you're trying to figure yourself out and you're trying to work this thing out, hey, you have every right to do that. You've got questions that you want to have answered. You need to seek and find yourself the best version of you that you can possibly find. But you do have to understand that people don't have to accept your choice. And on our end and on my end, is even though I don't like it or I don't approve of it, it doesn't give me the right to mistreat somebody because of it. And so I think that's important. Just because I'm not with it doesn't mean I have to be totally opposed to it and against it in the sense of I'm going to come at you or be aggressive or forceful or violent with you or whatever it may be. Because God does tell us and calls us to love everyone. He says he hates the sin, loves the sinner. And, I just think that we're at a place right now where we've got to draw some hard lines in the sand, especially as men. And if you're a father and you've got a young boy that's having these issues, you need to ask yourself some hard questions. Because there's something missing there. There's something missing there. And I pray that, you are man enough to step back and do a self-evaluation on that. And if you're in a situation where you screwed up, you owe your son an apology. Listen, this world has got enough problems in it as it is. We've got enough things going on around us. We don't need to be fighting each other. We don't need to be going back and forth. But at the end of the day, don't make your reality my acceptance, because that's not how it works. You don't need my approval anyway. And I'm not here to make you feel good about yourself. And if you don't want an opinion or a thought, don't ask. And if you're willing to put it out there, you take what comes with it. It's that simple. And when you accept that and you embrace that and you feel more comfortable in that, you're going to realize that it doesn't matter what I think, anybody else thinks. You're going to be you. I'm going to be me. We're going to do what we're going to do. And at the end of the day, my friends, hell, that's where the rubber meets the road.